She had tried everything: vision boards, moon rituals, affirmations 3 times a day. She wrote her wishes in gold ink, kept gratitude journals every morning, and even learned scripting methods from half a dozen manifestation coaches, and still nothing. The relationship stayed the same. The money never arrived. Her energy felt stuck, worse than stuck. It felt empty. Until one afternoon, something shifted. She was walking through the park with no plan, no goal, no mantra running through her head. Just a quiet numbness. And in that stillness, she looked up. Suddenly, the whole world around her seemed to change. The realization didn't come from her mind, but through her. You've been trying to manifest from a place of lack. It hit her like a wave. Every affirmation had carried a hidden note of desperation. Every vision board whispered, "You're not there yet." Every intention came from separation, not from true embodiment. That was the day she stopped trying, and things began appearing. What changed? This isn't just about one person. It's about a quantum principle most people, even those deep in spirituality, miss entirely. The field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your energy's clarity. And most of us radiate chaos, not clarity. We're taught manifestation is complicated, that it requires effort, mental rehearsals, constant tracking. But what if all that noise was the very reason nothing shifts? What if real power lies in simplicity? There's a reason sages, mystics, and quantum physicists point to the same truth. The observer shapes reality, not by controlling it, but by becoming still enough to merge with it. But stillness isn't what most people practice. Most practice obsession. They want it so badly their energy twists. Their minds buzz with strategies. Their hearts cling to doubt, and their frequency turns muddy. The quantum field, which mirrors your dominant signal, reflects that fog right back. This is the paradox. The harder you chase something, the further it seems to flee. Not because the universe denies you, but because your effort screams, "I don't have it yet." And in the quantum realm, that becomes your reality. The woman in the story didn't manifest because she quit. She manifested because, in dropping the noise, she finally heard the signal. She stopped vibrating struggle. She started vibrating openness. And the universe can't ignore a clear field. So in this video, we're not adding more techniques. We're cutting the complexity. We'll show you why the simplest shift in manifestation works best, and why almost no one does it. Because simplicity demands trust, and trust is the real spiritual test. Next, we'll explore the physics behind why simplicity works. We'll break down how the quantum field responds to pure signals, and how your attempts to do it right might be blocking the connection. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but nothing changes, stay tuned. The truth is simpler than you think, but it's not what you've heard. Why does simplicity work in the quantum field? And why do most people fight it? Because most don't truly want alignment. They want control, and control is the opposite of alignment. Let's dive deeper. In quantum mechanics, reality doesn't exist in a fixed state. It's probabilities, potential, until something collapses the wave function. That something is consciousness, the observer, you. But here's what's often overlooked. It's not just the intention that collapses the wave, it's the coherence behind it. Imagine tuning a radio to a specific frequency. You turn the dial, but instead of locking onto one station, your hand keeps drifting between signals, static, broken music, noise. That's what most people are doing energetically. Asking the universe for clarity while broadcasting mixed signals. Wanting love while resonating with unworthiness. Wanting money while fearing scarcity. wanting peace while obsessing over outcomes. So the field responds with more noise. Because the quantum field doesn't understand English, or affirmations, or vision boards, it responds to vibration, and that vibration must be steady enough to be detected. This is why manifestation becomes so much simpler and more powerful when we stop trying, forcing, controlling. Because in that stillness, the signal clears, the emotion settles, the intention sharpens. There's a concept in quantum physics called quantum decoherence. It describes the loss of coherence in a quantum system when it interacts with too many external factors, breaking its unified state. Now apply that spiritually. You are a quantum system. Your energy, your field, your emotional state. But when you tangle yourself with doubt, comparison, overthinking, external validation, you decohere, you lose the energetic clarity that shapes reality in your favor. That's why those who manifest effortlessly seem to barely try. They're not careless, they're coherent. They've stopped manipulating the outcome and instead embody it. They live in a state that says, it's done, not just in words, but in frequency. This is where simplicity becomes your strength. When you clear the mental noise and emotional turbulence, you give the field a clean blueprint to reflect. You become a clear receiver, a strong transmitter, and manifestation stops being mystical. It becomes a reflection. But here's what's even more fascinating. When you simplify your inner world, your outer world speeds up. Because there's less resistance in the field, less friction, fewer conflicting signals. This isn't a theory, it's physics. David Bohm, a pioneer in quantum mechanics, described the universe not as separate parts, but as a unified implicate order, a field of infinite information folded within itself. Your thoughts, emotions, and frequencies ripple into this field and shape your reality. So the question is, what are you radiating into the field? Chaos or coherence? Noise or stillness? Struggle or effortless clarity? Most people are conditioned to believe success, healing, and love demand effort. Relentless effort, proof, strain, sacrifice. This conditioning runs so deep that when someone says it can be easy, your mind rebels. Why? Because simplicity challenges the ego's identity. If manifestation is effortless, then perhaps I've overcomplicated things because deep down, I don't believe I deserve ease, or because I still equate value with suffering. This is where spirituality and quantum physics converge. Simplicity isn't a hack, it's a return to your natural state. And when you settle into that space, uncluttered, detached, undisturbed, the universe doesn't need persuasion. It simply aligns. Next, we'll expose the most common energetic pattern that traps people in cycles of complexity and how to dismantle it. You'll see why craving often becomes the barrier to receiving. Because the field doesn't respond to what you seek, it mirrors what you embody. And the more effortlessly you live that truth, the quicker everything falls into place. Stay with me. The shift occurs not when you push, but when you surrender. Let's discuss the trap most people face, the one that undermines their manifestations, even when they believe they're doing it all correctly. It's the energy of lack. Lack seems harmless. It mimics desire. It feels like drive. But in the quantum realm, there's a critical distinction between desire and lack. Desire springs from abundance. Lack springs from scarcity. Desire whispers, "This would be wonderful to embrace." Lack insists, "I require this to be whole." And the quantum field only echoes your dominant vibration, not your words, not your affirmations, not your wishes, your vibration. When you operate from lack, even with pure intentions, your energy transmits one clear signal. It's missing. I'm without it. I'm still searching. And the field answers in kind. See, it's missing. Let's examine this deeper. In quantum terms, your awareness engages with the field through what physicists call superposition, all potential states existing at once. Every version of your life, wealthy, healed, in love, empowered, already exists as a possibility in the quantum field. But you don't pull them toward you. You don't chase them. You tune into them. You collapse their possibility into your reality through vibrational alignment. And that alignment isn't forced. It's claimed through identity. When you're in a state of wanting, you're identifying as someone who lacks. But when you shift into being, the version of you who already knows, already feels, already is, you collapse that timeline effortlessly. This is why spiritual teachers and quantum mystics emphasize one simple but often misunderstood truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. But here's what most teachings miss. You can't fake this shift. You can't just think, I already have it, while emotionally vibrating need, urgency, or frustration. The field isn't fooled by words. It responds to your coherence. That's why simplicity isn't just easier, it's more potent. When you release the emotional charge of wanting, you open yourself to receive. Think of people who manifest things effortlessly. They weren't striving. They weren't obsessing over signs. They were being, living, trusting. They let go of the tension of wanting, and in doing so, their energy became magnetic. This isn't passivity. This is alignment. Wanting is a constricted frequency. It pulls your energy inward. It tells the universe, I am not enough. Being is an expanded frequency. It radiates wholeness. It declares, I already hold this within me. That's the frequency the field reflects back. So how do you make this shift? Not by doing more, by a subtle but profound shift in identity. You stop trying to become the person who has the thing and start acting as the person who wouldn't doubt it. You stop asking, how do I get there? And start feeling, I'm already there. You don't visualize to manifest. You visualize to anchor your resonance. You don't affirm out of doubt. You affirm because it's already true. This shift is quiet, internal, often unseen by others but deeply felt in your energy. And the moment you move from wanting to being, the field rearranges around your new signal, because you're no longer asking, you're no longer waiting, you're no longer vibrating lack. You've become the very thing you once thought was separate from you. And in that moment, the divide dissolves. Next, we'll bring this shift into the physical, with a daily practice so simple, yet so coherent, that you'll feel the field bending to your new identity, not because you forced it, but because you stopped needing to. And that's when everything starts to click. So how do you shift from wanting to being, from noise to clarity, from hoping to owning? It's not through more action, it's through rewiring your vibration. And it begins the moment you wake up. How you start your morning sets the tone for your entire energy field. Yet most people wake up straight into chaos, checking notifications, dwelling on problems, replaying old stories of lack. So let's break that cycle. Here's a ritual you can use, not as a trick, not as a hack, but as a way to anchor your energy into the frequency of fulfillment. It's called the Already Frequency Protocol, and it takes just a few minutes each morning. Yet you'll feel the shift almost instantly. Step 1. Wake into stillness. Before grabbing your phone, before revisiting yesterday, place one hand over your heart. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 5 counts. Hold for 5. Exhale for 7. Repeat 3 times. This slows your brain waves, eases you into alpha theta state, and activates your heart's electromagnetic field, the strongest signal your body emits. Research from HeartMath Institute shows a coherent heart creates a coherent field. Step 2. Claim it, as if it's already true, out loud or in your mind. State the reality you're choosing, not from hope, but from certainty. Example: today I move in alignment with abundance. I am the frequency of love. I don't wait, I attract. Keep it simple. No long lists, no begging, just 1 or 2 clear statements, spoken from presence. Why? When you speak from the vibration of having, your body syncs with that version of you. And remember, the field mirrors who you are being, consistently. Step 3. Feel it deeply for 90 seconds. Close your eyes and let your nervous system align with the frequency you're calling in. See it, feel it, but most importantly, let it soak into your cells, not with force, with ease, with trust. Here's the key: you're not doing this to make it happen. You're doing this to remember it already has, because once your body believes it, your field broadcasts it, and once your field stabilizes, reality rearranges itself. It really is this simple. The quantum field doesn't need 20 steps. It doesn't need proof of struggle. It needs clarity, repeated with consistency. But here's the beautiful part. When you simplify your inner voice, the outer world gets clearer too. Synchronicities accelerate, resistance fades, people change, timelines shift. You're no longer walking through life trying to make things happen. You're walking as someone who already knows, and that knowing is magnetic. Now, before we continue, I want you to anchor this energy with a small step. In the comments, write, "I let it in." Let that be your declaration to the universe. Not that you're pushing harder, but that you're opening wider. Because when you truly allow, the universe responds, not with maybe, but with momentum. In the next part, we'll explore why this simplicity is so often resisted, and how your subconscious might be hooked on the complexity that keeps you stuck in the same emotional cycles. We'll also uncover how to stay in the flow without constantly checking for results. The final key to making manifestation feel effortless, because that's the real secret. It was never meant to be hard. You just got used to the noise. Here's something rarely discussed in manifestation circles. Something uncomfortable, yet liberating, once you see it. Most people aren't afraid. Their desires won't manifest. They're afraid they will, and that their identity won't know how to handle it. This is what keeps you trapped in complexity, in spiritual busywork, in subconscious resistance to simplicity. Because simplicity demands one thing your ego can't fake: surrender. And surrender feels like death to the part of you that's built its identity on striving, fixing, proving, and chasing. So when someone tells you, "It's already done," your mind protests. "But if I stop trying, won't I lose everything?" This is the paradox. You crave ease, but you've been conditioned to feel safe in effort. You want flow, but you've been rewarded your whole life for struggle. So your nervous system sees peace as a risk, and complexity becomes your safety blanket. Let's go deeper. Neuroscience now shows that the brain creates predictive models to keep you safe. If you've spent years believing results come from stress, then anything outside that pattern feels unsafe, even if it's healthier, easier, or more aligned. In quantum manifestation, this becomes a loop. You think you're manifesting something new, but your energy still carries the vibration of effort. So the reality you get reflects not your desires, but your unhealed patterns. This is why true simplicity isn't easy, because to return to simplicity You must release the identity that feels powerful in complexity. The overthinker, the spiritual achiever, the one who needs to be perfect. But here's the freedom. Once you let go of the identity hooked on trying, you become open to timelines you could never force. Because the version of you that already has what you want isn't stressing about how to get there. She's already there. She doesn't check for signs every hour. She doesn't pray out of panic. She doesn't perform for the universe's algorithm. She wakes up and radiates alignment. This is who you're becoming, and who you've always been beneath the noise. But how do you stay in that frequency without slipping back into old patterns of control? By mastering the art of emotional neutralization. This doesn't mean shutting down. It means being open to feeling without being controlled by it. When doubt arises, you observe it without clinging. When the urge to check or fix surfaces, you pause and breathe instead. You start living from what Dr. Joe Dispenza calls the memory of your future, anchoring into an emotional state that already knows it's done. That emotional state is your signature, not your thoughts, not your words, your state, because the field doesn't respond to what you're doing. It responds to how you're being as you do it. And being isn't a performance. It's the return to your original frequency. Before you learn to force life, chase love, or earn worth. Now that you're clearing that static, your field is opening. And as it does, reality begins to shift naturally. That's what's next. In the final part of this video, we'll reveal how to sustain this new state. Not through effort, but through presence. You'll learn the final key. Why detachment isn't about not caring, but caring so deeply that you trust the field to deliver beyond what your mind can conceive. Because in the quantum world, your biggest breakthroughs don't come from pushing harder. They come from releasing the belief that it has to be hard. And once you do, what was stuck starts flowing. What was distant draws near. And what you once chased begins to chase you. So here we are. You've unlearned the noise. You've rediscovered the simplicity. You've felt the shift, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Now the question is, how do you stay here? How do you remain in this clear signal, this vibrational clarity, this effortless flow, when the world pulls you back into cycles of effort, urgency, and overthinking? The answer isn't to resist the pull. It's about returning again and again to the frequency of your deeper knowing. That part of you that already understands manifestation isn't magic, it's resonance. And resonance doesn't come from effort. It comes from consistency. Consistency in presence, consistency in feeling, consistency in identity. You're not here to live an outcome already set. In quantum terms, you're choosing your timeline, not with actions but with your vibrational signature, your default emotional state, your energetic stance, the silent signal you emit, even in stillness. That's the truth most overlook. They chase tools, new methods, new techniques, hoping to unlock the next breakthrough. But all the tools in the world mean nothing if your identity stays rooted in lack. So here's the practice. Keep it simple, keep it clear, let it be done. Because when you stop wondering if it's coming, when you stop asking when it'll arrive, when you no longer vibrate as someone who lacks, that's when the field collapses into form. The field doesn't follow your schedule. It follows your frequency, and your frequency steadies the moment you stop demanding proof. So as you move through your day, let your energy speak louder than words. Let your presence radiate clarity. Let your posture carry the vibration of someone beyond doubt. Because the field can't resist alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and being are in sync, you become a magnet for everything you once chased. And here's the most paradoxical truth. The moment you no longer need it is the moment you collapse the reality where it already exists. Needing is a frequency. Having is a state. You don't have to persuade the universe, you just have to persuade your nervous system. Let it feel what it's like to lack nothing. Let it settle into the emotion of already. Let it relax into the simplicity of being. That's the shift. That's the magic. That's the science of manifestation at the quantum level. You collapse reality, not by forcing, but by becoming the version of you who never needed to force anything. And now that you've remembered this, the field has already shifted. It's listening, it's arranging, it's reflecting. So if something in you resonated, if you felt even a flicker of relief, clarity, or certainty, let that be your new baseline. And if you want to expand this field with us, if you want more than content, if you want resonance, community, and activation, subscribe not just to watch, but to become. Because this space isn't about followers, it's about frequency. And if you're still here, it's no accident. You're remembering what your soul always knew. It was never meant to be hard. It was only ever meant to be aligned. And alignment is easier than you think.